Last episode we rewrote the titles and descriptions, so today we're tackling the photography. Now Mum's been taking the same style of photos for years. In her mind, the photos look good. And she's right, they do, but looking good and selling are two different things. Yeah, so before we take any photos, I want to walk you through the 3 rules that we'll be applying for this photo shoot. Okay, so the first rule is make sure that every image that you use is showing a person on the image. So you're not actually just showing the product photography, hey look, these are my lever back earrings. You're showing somebody wearing it. Yeah. Rule 2, the setting needs to suggest a moment. They could be getting ready for a night out, they could be going to work, getting ready for a wedding, or even a silent moment where they're getting dressed for the day. And you want to look put together, but not trying too hard. The buyer should feel the occasion. And rule 3, the viewer should be able to picture themselves in the moment. If they have to think about it, the image is doing too much. Mum, I know these feel different to what you're used to. Normally you focus on making the picture look sharp and making the product stand out. And that's great for a catalogue. But you're in a feed, you're not in a catalogue. Your shopper, your browser isn't in a catalogue. They're on Etsy. And in the feed, a picture that makes them feel something wins. A picture that doesn't means they just scroll past because it's too much cognitive load.
So here's the simplest way to think about this. Every product photo answers a question. The issue is whether it answers the right question the buyer is thinking. A product on a surface photo answers, what does this look like? And that's useful if your buyer is a gateholder who wants to inspect the mechanism. But for a gaze catcher, that's the wrong question. A product on a person photo answers, what do I look like wearing this? And for a gaze catcher, that's the only question that matters. Because they're not buying a product, they're buying what the product does for their identity. Right, so here's where the episode takes a turn. This was filmed over a couple of weeks because we have busy lives, so Mum can't be here for the rest of the episode. But the brief doesn't change. I'm going to walk you through each one of the reshoots, what I shot, how I shot it, and why each one looks the way that it does. So the earrings come first. Now from the audit, you already know that this listing already pulls the highest traffic of the 3. So the photo change here has the biggest immediate upside. The old listings only had the first image with the jewellery in the ear, and it was cropped so small there was no lifestyle photo. The other 6 images were the earrings on a surface. You can count the facets on the crystal, and it tells the buyer absolutely nothing about what they look like wearing it. Casual elegant was the brief. Getting ready in front of a mirror, not a full glam session. The moment you check yourself before you walk out the door and think, yeah, those work. So for the touring photo, we need to find a scene that looks as close to his beach as we can get. Now, next time I'm going to ask Mum to book us a trip to the Bahamas, but this time we'll have to settle for a park near us that has a sandpit. The touring is £7.95. The cheapest listing of the 3. It's very impulse friendly. The photos need to match the price psychology. Relaxed, warm, summery, and not clinical. And the trap with the touring photos is the same as the earrings. The old listing only had 1 photo on a model and it didn't paint the summer vibe. The rest of the photos were very old pictures from over 10 years ago. I think these were the first images that Mum took when she designed the touring for the first time. This listing feels emotionally dead. I want this to feel like a holiday snapshot. The touring's there, but it's not the subject. The subject is the feeling of the summer. The old photos answer, what does this ring look like? And the new photos need to answer, what does my summer look like? At £7.95, the buyer doesn't need convincing, they just need a nudge. And the nudge is the feeling. Last product is the tie clip. And here's where it gets a bit awkward because I'm shooting this on a Sunday afternoon in my office and the brief says shoot in a wedding context, gift worthy and a premium feeling. Now, I don't have a wedding booked, so I'm going to do 2 things and I'll show you both. First thing, we already have some really good images from the current listing. They're just what we need. Rule 1 is make sure that the images are a product on a person, and we have that. Rule 2 is the setting needs to suggest a moment. I can't do that today. So the second thing, because the buyer for this product is almost never the man wearing it, it's the bride, the sister, or the mum. And like I said earlier, I don't have a wedding to film, so I'm going to leverage AI. For now, this will do, but if this listing works, we will then do a photo shoot, a real one. If you're trying new products for the first time, this can save you money in the early days. I'm labeling this approach with a big warning though. Most people know that it's AI, so get out of this phase as soon as you can afford it. This approach can damage your brand if you don't know what you're doing. I'm segmenting the tie clip listings into 2 different listings so we can see the difference from the genuine image and the AI generated one. If you're sitting at home thinking, well, I don't have a model either or the perfect lights, That's actually the point. The reason this episode was supposed to look one way and ended up looking another is the same reason most product photo shoots stall. You wait for the ideal conditions that never arrive, and the listing keeps underperforming whilst you wait. Mum is still selling toe rings with 10-year-old pictures. Whatever you've got around you that satisfies those 3 rules will outperform what you have on your current listings. Don't wait for the wedding, don't wait for the model, shoot what you can shoot now. Label what you can't and improve on it later on when you can. A key takeaway for sellers: if you're selling products at a different price point, the listing quality needs to scale with the price. At a £7 toe ring, the listing doesn't need to work that hard. A decent lifestyle photo is enough. The buyer doesn't need convincing, they just need a nudge. But with a £40 tie clip, the buyer's brain is looking for a signal to justify the spending. And if the listing has the same template, photo style or energy as the £8 toe ring, the buyer's brain flags a mismatch. The price says premium, the listing looks basic, and confused buyers won't buy. So that's the reshoot. New photos for all 3 listings. Each product got a different energy because the brief isn't generic. It's specific to the product, the price point, and the buyer's occasion. Next episode, everything goes live, and then we'll wait 2 weeks to a month before we check anything. If you're thinking about reshooting your product photos, start with the brief, not the camera. 3 rules based on your buyer's psychology. That's all you'll need. The free quiz will tell you which archetype your buyer is in 2 minutes. The link is in the description, and I'll see you in episode 8.